I have to be honest. When I first opened up the source material for this deep dive, I actually thought, you might have sent me the wrong files.
Oh, yeah. How come?
Well, on one side, I've got this very technical, almost dry diagram of a soccer pitch. Arrows everywhere, marking out the 4 phases of the game: attacking, defending, transition to defense.
In transition to offense.
Yeah.
Looks like a coach's whiteboard.
Exactly. Something a coach would scream at you about on a rainy Tuesday. And then on the other side, I've got Jim Quick, the brain coach.
Right.
And we're talking his Limitless model mindset motivation methods. It's all very self-help, very unlock your potential.
And you didn't see the connection?
I mean, vaguely, maybe. But are we really going to argue that a tactical sports setup is the same thing as, like, cognitive neuroscience? It feels like a bit of a stretch.
I'll give you that. It does sound like a stretch.
Yeah.
But that is exactly the premise we need to unpack today.
Yeah.
The core argument here isn't just that they're, good analogies.
Okay.
It's that they are structurally identical.
Identical? That's a strong word.
It is. The way a high-performance team flows on a field mirrors, almost exactly, how the human brain learns, how it retains information, and this is the crucial part, how it overcomes failure.
Okay, so we're sort of moving away from this idea that being smart or athletic are just these fixed traits we're born with.
Completely. There's a line in the Limitless Athlete material, it references Tolstoy, and it really anchors this whole thing. It says, as we get wiser, we realize life doesn't originate in the body.
It originates in the spirit or the mind.
Exactly. So if we want to understand how to play the game, soccer, business, learning a language, whatever, we have to look at the invisible game first.
The invisible game. I like that. Okay, let's test the theory then. If the diagram on the grass is the diagram in the mind, where do we start?
We start with the part everyone loves.
Yeah.
The glory. The attack.
Right, the fun part. You've got the ball, you're moving forward, trying to score. In my head, that's just talent. You're either good at it or you're not.
And see, that's the trap right there. In soccer, attacking is actually a creative assertion.
A creative assertion. What do you mean?
You are claiming that a goal is possible before it's actually happened. You're scanning the field, looking for a gap that doesn't even exist yet, and you're trying to will it into being.
Which maps directly to mindset.
Exactly. The first circle in Quick's model. And mindset isn't just, positive thinking. It's the very boundary of what you believe is possible. Quick uses an acronym here that I think is just brilliant. LIES.
Lies. As in we're lying to ourselves.
Sort of. It stands for limited ideas entertained.
Entertained is a really interesting word choice there.
It's crucial, isn't it? It implies you have a choice. The source material puts it so bluntly. If you fight for your limitations, you get to keep them.
Wow.
So if you entertain the idea that, oh, I'm not a math person or I'm too old to learn piano, you are effectively stopping your own attack before you even cross midfield.
That hits home. It's so much easier to just say I can't than to try and fail.
Yeah.
But how do you break that? Just telling myself I'm great at everything feels kind of fake.
Because it is.
Yeah.
You have to look at what an attacking mindset really is. It's not blind optimism. It's about loving the process that leads to the goal. There was this fascinating note in the research about Aaron Rodgers.
The quarterback. Right. I saw his name and got confused again. We're talking soccer, now it's American football.
The sport doesn't matter, the psychology does. Just think about his career. He wasn't a superstar from day one. He spent 3 years on the bench behind Brett Favre.
Which, for a pro athlete, has to feel like purgatory. You just want to play.
Right. Most people would see that as wasted time. That's a limited idea. But Rodgers, he used that time to attack the, quote, unexciting details. Things like finger dexterity, footwork, the mechanics of a handoff.
The boring stuff.
The invisible stuff. But he taught himself to love that detailed work. And that is the absolute core of an attacking mindset. It's being future-oriented. It's being willing to put in the work before there's any guarantee of a reward.
So a limited mindset is waiting for proof. Show me I can do it, and then I'll try.
Precisely. Whereas a limitless mindset initiates. It goes out and creates the opportunity. Rodgers was attacking his own potential while he was literally standing still on a sideline.
Okay, I am with you on the attack. It's about possibility. But now we have to talk about the flip side. The part of the game nobody likes doing, defending.
And this is where the analogy gets really, really interesting for me.
I have to admit, this is where I got stuck. In the source material, they map defending to methods.
Correct.
That felt so backwards to me. Defense is reactive, isn't it? It's gritty, it's physical. Methods like study techniques or memory tricks, those feel like offensive tools. Why is method a defensive act?
Well, think about what you're defending against. When you learn something new, you listen to this deep dive, you read a book, what's the real opponent?
Boredom, distraction, my phone.
Entropy. Forgetting. There's a terrifying statistic in the notes. 80% of new learning is lost within 48 hours if it isn't reinforced.
Wait, 80%, seriously. That is so depressing. So basically, almost everything we consume just evaporates.
Unless you have a defense. See, in soccer, you can't improvise defense. If you just have players running around randomly, you get scored on fast. Defense needs structure. It needs patterns burned into muscle memory so that when the pressure hits, you don't think, you just react.
So methods are the structure. They're what stop the memory from leaking out.
Precisely. Quick offers these specific frameworks, these methods, that act as your defensive line. One of them is the FAST framework.
I saw that. F for forget, A for active, S for state, T for teach. Let's look at that A, though, active, because I feel like that's where most of us just get lazy.
Oh, absolutely. We treat learning like a spectator sport. We sit back, we watch a video, and we think, yep, I've learned that. But the method here says learning has to be co-creation. You have to do something with the information right away.
If you're passive, your defense is full of holes.
The information walks right through and is gone by tomorrow.
Okay, there's another method in here I really want to get into because it's something I struggle with all the time. Names.
Ah, the BESUAVE.
Yeah. And I usually roll my eyes at these long acronyms, but this one actually breaks down the mechanics of why we forget names in the first place.
It does, and it starts with a hard truth.
Yeah.
You don't usually forget a name. You never actually captured it to begin with.
The 6-second syndrome.
Exactly. A name stays in your working memory for about 6 seconds. If you don't do something to anchor it, poof, it's gone. It's like a striker running right past a defender who is busy tying his shoe.
So let's look at the A and the V in BESUAVE. Ask and visualize. Why are those the heavy lifters?
Well, ask is great because it forces you to engage. How do you spell that? It just buys you time. But visualize, that's the real game changer. Our brains are, evolutionary hardware.
Right.
We're designed to remember faces because knowing friend from foe is survival. But names are just abstract text. We're not wired for them.
So you have to trick the brain into caring.
You have to turn the text into an image. If you meet a Mike, you imagine him holding a microphone. If you meet a baker, you imagine him wearing a chef's hat. Sounds silly.
It sounds absolutely ridiculous. If I'm at a networking event, I'm not going to be picturing everyone in silly hats.
But that's exactly why it works. The brain remembers the unusual. It remembers the ridiculous. By creating that visual anchor, you are building a defensive wall that stops that name from slipping away.
So the method is just the discipline to do the silly thing because you know it works.
That's it. The source quotes Gandhi. An ounce of practice is worth more than a ton of preaching. A method is what's left when the speed of the game picks up. When you're nervous in a meeting, you don't rise to the occasion. You fall to the level of your training. That's your defense.
Okay, so we've got attacking his mindset and defending his methods. But a soccer game isn't just those two states. Modern coaches say the game is decided in the in-between moments, the transitions.
And this is where the whole thing gets so dynamic. Because in life, we're rarely just doing or just planning. We are always switching.
Let's talk about the good switch first. Transition to offense. You win the ball back. The opponent is disorganized. You have a split second to just go.
That's the counterattack. And in the Limitless model, this maps perfectly to the second circle, motivation.
Now I have to stop you because motivation is one of those words that gets so abused. We think of it as hype, listening to Eye of the Tiger before a big meeting.
Right, just pumping yourself up.
Yeah.
But the science shows that motivation isn't really something you have. It's something you generate. And Kuick gives a formula for it. P times E times S cubed.
I want to focus on that S cubed part. Small, simple steps. Because this feels like the antidote to that paralysis we all feel when a project is just too big.
It is the single most important part of the counterattack. Imagine you're on the field. You just won the ball back. If you look up and think, oh my God, the goal is 80 yards away and there are 4 defenders, what happens?
You hesitate. You freeze up.
And you lose the ball. The source says a confused mind won't do anything. The counterattack, that transition, requires the tiniest possible action that doesn't allow for failure.
Inch by inch, it's a cinch. Yard by yard, it's hard.
It's a cliche, but it's so true. If you can't get yourself to work out, the small, simple step isn't go do a workout. It's put on your sneakers. That's it.
Right.
Because once the sneakers are on, the friction is gone. You've transitioned.
That reminds me of the Seneca quote that was in the text. The wise person will endure difficulty, but won't choose it.
Yes. They choose peace. The counterattack is a refusal to stay in the crouch of adversity. You don't sit there and wallow in how hard the defense was. You grab the ball, the motivation, and you surge.
But then there's the other one, the other transition, the one that keeps me up at night.
Transition to defense.
The moment you lose the ball, you tried the creative thing, you launched the business, you asked for the date, and it just failed. And now you are totally exposed.
This is the chaos phase. And honestly, this is where most people and most teams completely fall apart.
So how does the Limitless model handle that kind of chaos?
This is where it all has to come together. It tests the integration of all three circles. But the key skill here is equanimity. The source links this very heavily to stoicism. It's about separating the event from your reaction to it.
Control what you can control.
100%. You cannot control that the ball is lost. That's in the past. It's history. You can only control your response. And if you throw your hands up or complain to the ref or beat yourself up, the opponent scores.
There's that mantra in the source, be the calm in the storm.
It's not about not feeling the failure. Of course you feel it. It's about not losing your shape because of it. It's the ability to fail and reset in the exact same motion.
You know, this is where I think we need to slow down because the material introduces a framework here called CODE. It's about brain types. And it really strikes me that different people handle this chaos moment so differently.
They do, and this is vital. If you don't know your type, you'll just be fighting your own nature during these transitions.
So we've got 4 animals, the cheetah, the owl, the dolphin, and the elephant. Let's try to map them to the pitch, specifically for that transition moment.
Okay, let's start with the cheetah. These are your instinctive fast processors.
They sound like the perfect athletes.
In the transition, yes. The cheetah is born for that split-second switch. They don't overthink, they just act. But, and here's the shadow side, they can be reckless. If the moment requires patience, a cheetah might just run themselves straight into trouble.
Okay, then you have the owl.
The owl is logical, observant. They love the methods. They are your defenders.
But I'm guessing the owl struggles when chaos hits.
Big time. If an owl loses the ball, their first instinct is to analyze why they lost it. Was my angle wrong? Was the pass weighted poorly?
And while they're analyzing,
The other team is already scoring. An owl needs to learn to shut off that analysis during the transition and just react.
what about the dolphin?
The creative visionary thrives in the attack. They see angles nobody else can. But in that transition to defense, they can be a liability. They might try a fancy trick to win the ball back instead of just making a simple, safe play.
And finally, the elephant.
The elephant is empathy, the unifier. They hold the team together. In chaos, the elephant isn't worried about the ball. They're worried about the team's morale. They're the ones saying, hey, it's okay, let's go again.
Which is valuable, but it could also be a distraction if what you need is immediate tactical focus.
Exactly. The point isn't that one type is better. It's that self-knowledge is a form of tactical intelligence. If you know you're an owl, you know you need to preload your reaction to failure so you don't freeze.
Yeah.
If you're a dolphin, you know you need to discipline yourself to do the boring defensive work sometimes.
You don't play the whole game alone, you just play to your strengths on the team.
And you build systems to cover your weaknesses. That is what being limitless actually means. It's not about being perfect at everything. It's about integrating your mindset, your motivation, and your methods so that the flow never stops.
So to bring this all the way back to where we started, the 2 diagrams.
The pitch and the brain.
We've seen that attacking is mindset. It's believing in the possibility of a goal.
And defending is methods using structure to fight entropy and hold your ground.
The transitions are all about motivation, using those small, simple steps to break out of inertia.
And the chaos. Well, that's where your character and your self-knowledge is truly tested.
There's a quote in the source text at the beginning and the end that I think we have to share. It's from White Elk. And honestly, after all this tactical talk, it just hits on a completely different level.
It's one of the most powerful bookends I've ever seen. When you were born, you cried, and the world rejoiced. Live your life so that when you die, you rejoice and the world cries.
That really elevates this whole discussion, doesn't it? We're not just talking about how to learn a language faster or be a bit better at your job.
No, we're talking about contribution. We're talking about playing the game fully. The primitive view we mentioned at the start. That just says life is bodies running on grass. The wiser view says that performance and happiness originates from the spirit.
There was that final note in the Limitless Athlete Journal about happiness, that it's not bestowed upon you, it's an accomplishment.
Like a skill?
Yeah. built through the daily grind of the defense, the spark of the attack, and the absolute grit of the transition.
And that implies that the game never really stops.
Mhm.
We're always in one of these four phases.
So here's the thought I want to leave everyone with. If the diagram on the grass is the same as the one in your head, and if the garden of the mind truly has no limits, are you playing to win? Or are you just playing not to lose?
That is the question.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you on the next one.